Are you an SDR, BDR, or an ADR who's ready to step up to management? Are you a current team lead or SDR manager who wants to go to the next level in your career? Join Tenbound on July 19th, 2017 in downtown San Francisco for an immersive half-day live training class where we'll cover sales development, culture building, recruiting, team management, metrics, and designing your own career as a sales development professional. You don't want to miss this exclusive opportunity. Sign up today at tenbound.com/events. That's tenbound.com/events.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sales Development Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about grit, tenacity, determination, the keys to becoming a great sales development rep or a leader, or really a business leader in general. But how do you stay motivated during the grind? You know, when you have to keep your eyes on the big picture, when you're deep down in the tough stuff that we do every day in sales development. And today, I'm really excited with the guest that I got on the show. I've been trying to get this guy on the show for a while. His name is Nick Ruiz. He's the author of Flip, an unconventional guide to becoming a real estate entrepreneur and building your dream lifestyle. That sounds pretty good. Nick, I want to do that. And he's also the founder of Alpha Home Flipping. So Nick knows a thing or two about staying focused on your goal and during the grind and the tough times and bouncing back, even stronger. So Nick, I'm doing a lot of talking. Thanks so much for being on the Sales Development Podcast today. And how you doing?
I'm beautiful, David. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Yeah, we've been going back and forth trying to get this show lined up, and here we are. So I appreciate it.
Dude, this is awesome, man. I mean, I've been a big fan for a while, and I love your energy. And we were talking before the show that we're, out in the Silicon Valley, we tend to get in sort of a tech bubble, like not just an economic bubble, but we're all kind of talking to each other about the same thing. So it's great to get another perspective from someone who's in the business world, just grinding it out every day and making it happen. So thanks for being on the show.
No, I'm happy to be here, man. And I just want to highlight, just mention too, the new book, Success from Scratch, not for promotional purposes, but most people are at scratch. And that's why I really focused on this new book, which is releasing July 18th for those of you, I don't know when you're listening to this, but most people just are at this scratch struggle, and that's really kind of been my core focus, and it's I'm known for it, and we can talk about my quick backstory if you want, but people really need to be okay with being at scratch and not say, oh well, I wasn't born under the right star, so I guess I'm just going to be stuck my whole life. That's not true.
Dude, I love that. I want to dig into that, and I'm excited to dig into the book when it comes out. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm self-funding, right out of my pocket. I was in the corporate world for 20 years, so I'm super interested in the entrepreneurial journey that you went on, and I can't wait to read that because I'm scratching it out every day myself, Nick. And I know that a lot of the callers, a lot of the folks that listen to the show, they're working for startups. They're in hustle mode, man, and they're just like grinding it out every day. So Let's jump in the Wayback Machine and tell your story, because I think people they have no idea what you had to go through to achieve the success and be able to get to where you're at. So tell people your story about your journey in this process.
I've been an entrepreneur, I feel like, since I was a kid. Well, I don't feel like, I look back and some of the stuff I did, I was like, oh, that was seriously entrepreneurial, but I didn't know it back then. But the point is, I did a lot of different things throughout my childhood. And then, my late teens, I knew I just wanted to do something bigger and really accomplish actual business building, a real business, and make some serious money, not nickel and dime stuff. So I ended up, on a late night infomercial, seeing a program. Okay, this was back in 1999. No money down real estate, and I always knew real estate was like a wealth creator. I knew people. I mean, it's one of the number one. It is probably the number one wealth creator in the world. Literally, I mean, real estate is just a known thing. So I'm like, you know what? I know a lot of people that have made money with that. No money down. Well, that's good because I don't have any. So that's a winning proposition. Let's see how this works. And I bought it. And, went through the course. They sent you a cassette DVD, not even DVDs, I don't think yet. I think that was still the cassette days, maybe. I'm not sure. But got the program, put it on a credit card. It was like $250. Got it 2 weeks later. And read through it and I was like, a lot of this is far-fetched. Some of it's illegal. I can't mess with this. Put it away. And then I worked my job a little bit longer, and all of a sudden I'm like, I got to do something. I can't be working for someone. I'd rather starve, you know? It was a small little family business actually, but you know, I wasn't really making any real money. So I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I made a move. I found a home for sale, creatively financed it so I didn't have to pull any money out of my pocket, bought it, collected rents. You know, I won't go through all the details, sold it, made some money, did it again, made some more money, tens of thousands. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to really aggressively put the gas pedal on this. I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio by my mid-20s, okay? And then the 2008 crash came. The 2008 crash, the financial crisis, the housing crisis, you know, the whole thing. And I was, you know, the housing was like the leader in the like crash, and that was the industry I was totally intertwined with. So it was not a good situation, as you know. Like everything ended up crashing, but housing was the like front runner that dragged everything down. So belly up. I mean, it eventually forced me into bankruptcy, like actual bankruptcy. And I can tell you right now, it's unbelievable. Nothing prepares you for it, especially you know when you've always been broke. The pain of broke is less severe than if you've had success and then went broke because you've been recalibrated to a different point. And I'm saying that with certainty because I've been in both places. I've been where I've always been broke, and I've also been in the place that we talked about here where I've had this super success and been broke. So I'm telling you for a fact, it was ultra painful, and it breaks. And you know, entrepreneurs have a tendency to intertwine their identity and who they are with their entrepreneurial career. It's kind of a thing entrepreneurs deal with. That's what we do. You know, we're very intertwined with it. Okay. So it took me down that way too. Cause I'm like, it's kind of like if my entrepreneurial career collapsed, well then Nick collapsed as a person. And I did. It wasn't good. You know, I was always Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, Mr. Successful, I was helping people out, giving people business advice. You know, it was pretty good. And then all of a sudden, all that got stripped away. So my ego was destroyed. I didn't want to see anybody. I wanted to hide in the corner. I mean, it was not good, like very, very bad. So what happened was I was in rough shape mentally, emotionally, you know, the family, you know, again, I was a jerk to everybody. Like it was just a really, really rough point in my life. And, you know, listen, I've done all the like personal development, read all the books, listened to Tony Robbins, you know, since I was a teenager. The problem is it just doesn't totally like prepare you for what financial disaster or catastrophe or collapse actually is. It's just, it takes you to a level you never thought of. So I had poisonous thoughts. I was like, I guess I took my shot at entrepreneurship and blah, blah, blah. I guess this didn't work out. Do I get a job? Like weird stuff that I never thought in my life. Okay. I'm an entrepreneur through and through. So what it did was it forced urgency. When humans are backed in the corner, they act on levels that are unfathomable. So I tell people, listen, if you're broke, if you're at scratch, embrace that built-in urgency to make something happen. The guy that's making $2,000 a week, he's not in a good spot. If he's making $2,000 a week at his job, right? He's punching the clock. His boss hands him $2,000 every Friday. He's comfortable. So he's not forced to do anything. Humans have a tendency to do what they're forced to do. Okay. That's why personal trainers exist. I know how to, you know, lose weight and build muscle. I eat less and move more and lift weights. Everybody knows how to do it. But when you got a personal trainer staring at you, pushing you, you know what I mean? Like then you have to do it. So humans do what they have to do. And I had to make something happen. I had a family. So I exhausted all my resources. I turned over rocks I didn't know existed because I was like, I got to do this. And I bounced back quickly. I did one deal, did another deal, and boom, boom, boom. You know, now here I am today. I have the best I've ever done in business. I have an education company now and books and stuff where I show people how to do this because my story matters. You know, my story matters because it gives people the hope and lets them understand it's okay if you're at scratch financially. It's okay if you're at scratch knowledge-wise. This can all be developed and worked out, okay? This can all be developed and worked out. So what happened was, and the reason I wrote the book Success from Scratch is because, number one, I've been successful from scratch multiple times. You know, you can't really call that lucky. You know, one time, maybe there was luck in people's lives or whatever, big deal. But when you do it more than once, it's kind of like, all right, what are the principles here? So I broke them down in a book, and I put a lot of what I dissected on my path to get to success multiple times into this new book, Success from Scratch, which is stuff you haven't read before. Okay, we all read success stuff and all that online. This is stuff you haven't read. The subtitle is Mental Strategies for Success in a Survival of the Fittest Environment. We are in Darwinian capitalism, and I believe in evolution. This is the difference. Most people say, well, these are the 10 steps to success. Says who? Okay? Everyone has a different success diet, a different success recipe, because they have a unique DNA and a unique life circumstance. So I'm saying everyone has a unique, like, evolutionary success path where you evolve and you move, and you might get punched in the face and then you just turn your head and you're like, damn, there's a bunch of stuff over there I never knew about. So I even talk about embracing those punches, and there's just a lot of things that people don't talk about in the success world, and I want to expose them because I've done it and I've taught other people how to do it. I've had students go from nothing. I had a student message me on Instagram today. The guy knew nothing about real estate, for example, when I met him a year and a half ago, and now he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's a regular story in my world. So I kind of know a thing or two about creating success from scratch for myself and for others. Because people can say, oh, Nick, you have the magic fairy dust. You just know how to do it. No. Because I have examples all over the world now of people that have helped. So it's kind of like, boom, success from scratch, talk to me.
Okay.
Sorry for being long-winded. I kind of covered a lot.
No, yeah, I love it. I got a lot of questions for you. Okay. The one note that I made is some of the folks on the show might be thinking about doing something entrepreneurial. It's very hip, right now to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. Especially out here, you put together some engineers and make a product and go out and try to sell it. But there's also the safe, secure job where you're getting that paycheck and you've got the health insurance, and they really suck you in, especially at the big companies out here like the Google and LinkedIn and stuff like that. They give you the t-shirts and the squeezy, stress balls and the new Mac every quarter. And it's just like, man, I'm making, $100,000 and I'm doing really well and I'm kicking ass. Like, Nick just took me through this story. Like, oh man, I think I'll just stay in the herd, man. What do you what do you say to somebody?
I think all those benefits and perks poison your actual personal abilities. I have nothing against it. I think those companies are genius for offering those things. I think it's a great way to keep happy employees, which is only building their business. But all those perks and things, for example, like Google, those things are created to, make sure that Google's dreams and visions become a reality. Well, what about you? And I'm not knocking Google. Again, if I were Google, I'd be doing the exact same thing to a T, okay? It's very smart on their end. I'm just saying I'm talking to, I'm not talking to companies. I'm talking to individuals when I speak, because I want to make sure that everybody has the ability to pursue their thing in life, what makes them happy, their goals, their dreams, their pursuits. And those comfortable things may be slowly extinguishing the dream inside of you. And that's the danger in those comfortable things. It doesn't look obvious that it's extinguishing it, and that's why it's dangerous, okay? It's not obvious. It's not a naysayer saying, you're a schmuck, that's a stupid dream, you're never going to have that, you're a loser. Those are obvious, shots at your dreams and fast extinguishments, quote unquote, okay? It's a slow and subtle extinguishing. And all of a sudden these years go by and you're like, you know what? I never really stepped out and did anything because they made it so comfortable for me. To me, that's scarier. That's more poisonous because we all only have one life to live. You see what I mean? Yeah, dude, that's super scary because you're like sitting on the couch going, okay, wait a minute. Like, I work for one of the blue chip companies. I'm doing really well. I've got all the perks and everything, but there's something inside that yearns for like some more adventure, or something more. And it's like, because they sucked me in with all the t-shirts and the free Macs and all that stuff. Yeah. And you know what? Again, if you don't have anything more and you feel like this is where you were meant to be, then you're good. You're happy. Like, that's totally success. It's just, I know there's a lot of people that are getting those perks, as long as we're on this conversation, that are like, you know what? I kind of want to do more, but they're just making it too comfy for me. And I'm just saying, don't let that happen. You know what I mean? Right. Don't let that happen. That's my point. And then going more to the Darwinian aspect, because if you're that guy who's, you're doing a good job, you're getting good performance reviews, you're working for somebody, they're vulnerable, right, to
because we're headed for a big crash. I mean, we've had a good progression. This is just my opinion, but it seems like we've had a good progression for way longer than, we should have. And there's going to be some kind of big economic correction coming up.
Things get correct. There's always corrections. I mean, historically, it's going to happen.
Right.
I don't think it's smart to like bank your moves off of corrections and stuff. But what I will say is Darwinian capitalism you mentioned, which I do believe we are in, it's a very simple concept. I compare like the economy and business and the business world and career world to nature evolution. Okay. In nature, natural selection. So the economy is nature. All right. If you don't evolve and adapt based on the times, you get eliminated. Like the species get eliminated in evolution. And if you do evolve and adapt, nature rewards your adaptations. Okay. So for example, in 2008, the housing crisis, most of the people I know that were playing in the game of real estate, they got eliminated. They never came back. They got washed up to shore and now they work regular jobs, etc. But then the people who bobbed and weaved and changed things and went a different direction and tweaked things and evolved and said, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to pursue this in a more safe route, et cetera, like me, we got rewarded. It's very simple. Get rewarded or get eliminated. And I don't think you want to get eliminated. And that's why I wrote this book, Success from Scratch, because it breaks down how you will not get eliminated and how you can evolve no matter who you are, where you come from. Where you come from has nothing to do with success. The family you're born into, your financial circumstances, none of that has anything to do with actual success.
So take me back a little bit to your story. So you're sitting there, you went through that crisis, right? And you're snapping at people, you're getting depressed, like you're just like, excuse my language. Like you're trying to figure all this stuff out. And then you somehow, there's like a pivot point where you're like, I'm going to scratch back and I'm going to come back. Like what was that? Was that just like a moment that you had, or was it just I got to get out of this?
It's a good question. And to be honest, I've tried, other people have asked me that too. And I'm like trying to think of like the exact point, was there like a threshold event that just like was like, I got to do this now? I don't know. All I know is my sulking and pity party didn't last long. I didn't sit there for 6 months, crying and, watching romantic comedies or something, eating ice cream every night. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a long thing. All I know is it happened for a little bit. And I don't know, like one day I'm like, I know how to do this. Like I know how to make money. I know how to create wealth. I'm an entrepreneur through and through. Yes, I got the ultimate whack in the face. I mean, again, it wasn't just a little bump in the road. I mean, we were talking about complete hurricane in my life, disaster. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, we have a little challenge we got to overcome. I mean, this was serious. But I'm like, I just told myself, I'm like, you can do this. Like, this is life, make it happen, Nick. And I don't know. I went out there and again, I exhausted all my resources and put everything I had into it. And I quickly got results. And then I rolled the profits. I was very strategic with the profits, rolled those profits into more opportunity. You know what I mean? I'm very smart about reinvesting now, back then, period. That's how I do things. You want to build a business, don't chokehold it with Rolexes and, cars. That's stupid, especially on the front end. You know what I mean? Don't worry about your shit. Get the business in order. When you make your money, you roll it back into all the key places that are going to make you more money. Then down the road, you can worry about toys. Right now, you got to buy your freedom. That's what I tell people. Freedom is a cash purchase. You want to wake up, you want to go to lunch with your dad on Friday at noon? Guess what? You need to write a check for that. Not for the food, David.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You don't have to write a $40 check for the food. You need to write a check, period. So you don't have to be at a job and you can go to that 12 o'clock noon appointment with your dad. That's my point. Seriously.
I love that. You got to write yourself a check.
You need to have cash money to wake up and do what you want, when you want, how you want, with whoever you want. And people seem to skip that. Nowadays, especially with the younger generations, they see Lamborghinis and Rolexes and, everything else, and they're like, boom, let's buy that stuff. No. You buy that later. Right now, you buy your freedom.
The best sales development leaders make it a point to learn and grow each day with the Sales Development Podcast. How would you like to directly reach these decision makers and game changers in the sales development space with your specific message? To sponsor the Sales Development Podcast, go to 10bound.com/contact to request a rate card, or just click the link in Spreaker or YouTube. Again, that's 10bound.com/contact. Reach out today to the top sales development leaders in our industry with your valuable message.
I love that, dude. That's
Freedom.
awesome. And you know, there's a couple of things I want to go into. One, the threshold event. That's an interesting concept because I had one of those recently. I used to run and do triathlons and stuff. Then I got married, had kids. All of a sudden, like a couple months ago, we got back from a cruise, and I looked at the pictures, and I was like, threshold event.
I've been through the picture threshold before. I totally get that.
You know what I mean?
That's funny. I'm with you on that.
I quit carbs. I quit sugar. I quit having a beer at night, and it was
the picture
like,
thresholds.
Dude,
oh my God! I'm like, is that really me? What a damn schmuck! What am I doing? Trust me, I'm with you.
I love that.
Funny.
So yeah, dude, when you hit one of those threshold events, man, it's like you drop everything and just
maybe selfies aren't the worst thing. I mean, I think it's kind of stupid, but you know what? I think it's kind of like, okay, this is what I look like. I better do something quick.
Shocking.
Yeah,
but and then the other thing, Nick, is in the tech industry, there's this pattern of startups where really bright, entrepreneur or like computer programmer, they make an application, some kind of computer application.
Yeah.
And they go show it to a bunch of people and people give them like $1 million.
I know.
Just cite just here you go. Like, see what you can do with it, because the people who have the $1 million can write checks for $1 million. It's chump change. And then they take it and, they start hiring people and they start making this thing, and then there's no traction, there's no sales, there's no nothing.
I think there's something to say about it's free money is what it is, okay? And I think that the problem is a lot of times is, number one, those people don't have business experience. You can create the dopest app in the world, but running a business behind that app is a whole different skill set. It's like you can be a great accountant and kill it at accounting, but then when you want to start an accounting firm and hiring other accountants and running the business, you could fail completely. You could be the best chef in the world, but make zero money in the restaurant business. You know what I mean? Or you can make junky food and make a fortune in the restaurant business. I'm not going to name any names, but I think we all know that that's been proven. So I think what happens is, you know how to write code. You're a killer app developer, but big deal. Run a business. And I think that, I don't know, just from the outside looking in the tech world, it's like, I give you $1 million. Why? Because you have a cool idea? What about the actual business? And I think that's a disconnect. And what I think the fact that you have a free $1 million to work with, you make decisions differently than if every penny that you're putting in is blood money. You're going to be more scrappy, more nimble, more strategic, etc. I mean, that's just my take on it. I feel like when you have a bunch of free money, I feel like a lot of waste will be in play, and you're not truly grinding and bootstrapping the way you should, which I believe is a very healthy way to start a business. Straight up bootstrapping.
Totally.
You just have a different psychology. Every penny has to be put to the best use possible, not hiring 3 assistants and all that kind of stuff that you don't need. Seriously.
Yeah. And you're owned. Like, if someone gives you $1 million, they're not just going to give you $1 million and walk away unless you've done it like 3 times.
They're the boss, right?
Yeah, they're the boss, dude. I mean, and especially some of these companies that have raised like $40-50 million and they don't have any revenue. It's like, what the hell is going on out here?
A business is supposed to earn money. Where did that fall apart somehow? Like, literally, where did that? Yeah, we have unicorns out there that Instagram and whatever. Like, okay, but the problem is they're called unicorns for a reason, because they are rarely seen. That's the thing. Right. Like, people see Instagram and they're like, well, I'm going to do that. Now everybody wants to be a unicorn. Well, that defies the meaning of the word freaking unicorn. Like, businesses make money. That's what they've done since the beginning of time. And I think just because there's a bunch of free money and tech money out there, I just think that it's kind of, poisoning the whole psychology of like, dude, make money. That's I mean, that's just what businesses do. Like, there's no debating that. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make money, hire people, pay those people who make money, and build like an economic machine. There's almost like that economic machine doesn't exist. It's almost like all surface without any of the base business under it. There's no depth to it. I think that's what's freaky to me about people saying, hey, here's $1 million. But where's the depth? I see on the surface, it looks killer as hell. A lot of great ideas out there, but do you not actually run a business? I don't know. Maybe they don't look that deep, but I'm telling you right now, if I write someone a check, the app is only what gets you in the killer app idea. That's only what gets you in the door to talk to me. Now we have to have the real conversation of, how's this a business?
Right. How are you going to make money? And you better hope. I mean, some of these companies, like, they call them zombie companies because they're just kind of cruising along. They don't have much revenue. They're hoping to get bought out by, one of the bigger like gobbled up by the big fish, where they just buy them and they get all the technology and stuff and the engineers. But dude, I mean, some of these companies, man, they're just like limping along, and the investors must be like, what the hell, man? I mean, what happened to all that money that I put in?
I know. I'm not immersed in Silicon Valley world, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but I just think, honestly, I think a lot of things just lack common sense. I don't have to be in Silicon Valley to know what's, to discuss some of these things. Like, where is the common sense? I feel like a lot of that is thrown out the door. And again, I think a couple companies like Instagram and some of these other companies, like you said, that get gobbled up with no revenue, I think they pierce this threshold where everyone kind of thinks, well, if they did it, so can I. And it just doesn't work like that. You can't have 1 million unicorns. You know what I mean? It just doesn't exist. And that's the common sense part of it. Like, make money, talk to me, Exactly.
I mean, I would say for me, it's like pick up Nick's book about being scrappy that's coming out, and, take that game plan and then pick up Flip and plow the money back into real estate so you can have freedom. I would rather have freedom to be able to go and, have lunch with my dad instead of having to go to some board meeting and get beaten up, by... Yeah.
Without a doubt. And as far as the real estate game goes, whatever industry you're in, I'm not here to sell you on real estate. Yes. Can I teach you how to make money from scratch in real estate using no cash, no credit? Yes. But if you make money somewhere else, beautiful. Be an entrepreneur. And then what you do is you just can, dump some of those profits into real estate. It's a great way to maintain wealth. 95% of the world's wealth is either created or maintained through real estate. You look at all how much real estate holdings a company like Google has, for example, and the people on the Forbes list, okay, they might have made their money in oil or banking or app development. Trust me when I tell you, their real estate holdings are substantial. Every single one of them. It's just part of wealth, real estate. So whether you do it as a business like me or want to make money that way, or, make off it on the side, just a little side note. I mean, real estate's a beautiful business, a beautiful investment. It's a business and an investment. It goes both ways, and I teach both. But
I love real estate.
And one thing I want to highlight is a bullet point on the cover of my book. I have a lot of concepts in the book, but one of them is understand how rough draft moves change everything. And if someone put a gun to my head and said, what are one of your core concepts that create success? And I dissected my process, I'd go back to rough draft moves. Most people are planning, they're analyzing the stats, they're looking at the spreadsheets. That's called pre-action analysis. You're analyzing things that aren't real. You can base it off of other things correlatively, but at the end of the day, they're not real. I say you make a rough draft move where you don't know everything, but you kind of just go in there. You mess a few things up, you throw some paint on the wall, and I tell people, even if 5% of what you did is valid and good, and 95% was garbage, junk, stupid, you made mistakes, you looked like an idiot, etc., that 5% is a seed of something that's the data you can analyze because it's real, not neurons and whiteboards and all that you're just thinking and imaginary things. The world responded to a real event. Analyze that, and then you build off of that. You take the 5% seed, you build on that, you'd make another rough draft move, and pretty soon you blaze a serious trail. Rough draft moves. It's the concept. I look back and I'm like, yeah, that's why I did it, and that's why I did it so fast, because of rough draft moves. I tell people this. Whiteboarding, spreadsheeting, and all those things, planning, business plans, that's not work. That's not work in business. Work is making rough draft moves, making moves. You can plan till you're blue in the face, but the whiteboard and all that stuff is worthless because what you're planning, the world may have different plans for, and you better be ready for that. And that's why you need to make the moves, because then you can analyze what the world reacted to your move by. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, that is like $1 billion advice right there. Because like I said, I was in the corporate world for a long time, and I think you get very fearful to just do things because you always are under the look of somebody like the boss or somebody. They're all judging you to try to, all this. There's all this weird politics going on, but as an entrepreneur, it's like just do things. Just freaking do things, man. And I love the way that you call it the rough draft moves. That's a perfect way to do it. Like because then you have the 5% to analyze instead of just the fearful, like,
well, you're analyzing something real that actually exists in the universe. Your plans on a whiteboard don't exist. Like, they're cool to look at and think about, but there's nothing real about them. Your move is real. The world responded to your move. That's the beautiful thing you analyze. And I call it post-action analysis, to be exact.
Exactly. And I mean, I lost so many years. Like anybody who's on the podcast, like a young guy, like 20, 25, who's listening to this, like, dude, embrace this advice from Nick and just start producing things. Anything, even if it's a bunch of crap, just produce. Because, I wasted so many years, like, thinking and strategizing and planning and putting stuff on whiteboards and stuff. And it's like, there was nothing to analyze because it was all in your head.
Right.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I love that. And so that's a good segue. I know we're running up against the hour, but I want to go into the process of like writing your books, and the rough draft move. That's a great segue because say you're out there, you got a book in your head and you're just like, it's been rattling around in your head for a long time. You want to produce it. Like, what was the process that you went through to get, now you got 2 books coming out? You know what?
That's a great question. And I really love that question because the answer is, everybody does things differently. And this is where I think that a lot of the success talk out there is fluffy and too generalized and doesn't work for each individual. You got to know you. Each person has their own unique evolutionary process. So me, I look at a blank Word document and a keyboard, I get paralyzed. Okay? Paralyzed. I can't type a single word, but I can talk till the end of time. So for me, I'm serious. I'm very serious about this. So me, I speak. I transcribe. I move things around. I have a book. I speak my book. And then I do it that way. No one teaches you that. You Google how to write a book. They go through this step-by-step process. Well, who the hell says you have to do it that way? There are no rules. Okay? There are no rules in anything. And that's another chapter in my book. There's no right way to do this. Do it your way. I speak, I record, I make books. Okay? Pretty simple. I love that.
I love
and that's
that.
A rough draft move. That's a rough draft move. I spoke chapter 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was kind of good. Transcribed it. Let's do chapter 2. I didn't know. I didn't put on my whiteboard, speak out 26 chapters for success from scratch. I just was like, let me talk this out. And then I changed some of it. So I use my own principles. I live off of this book. My Success from Scratch book is my personal Bible. It's not like I'm saying, hey, I wrote this. Go out and read it, world. I'm saying I use this. I need reminders of these items because this is what works for me, and I think it's going to work for a lot of people because it basically reveals who you are, shows you how you've been conditioned from day one, and then shows you how to break out of bad conditioning and how to get into the right condition. It's a unique book. It's not like, do these 10 things and you're successful. It's just a very deep book that puts you on a higher mental plane. So I spoke a chapter, then I spoke another one, and on I went. I did not plan out the whole thing. I just dove in and slowly tweaked things, and by the end, I'm like, damn, I can do another book pretty soon now because of all those rough draft moves I made. And I weeded out a lot of things I did. I tried some different things throughout it that I kicked out the door because they didn't work, and here I am. So that's the book writing process for me. And I want to make clear, when you Google how to write a book and you have 25 websites that I'll tell you how to write a book, you don't have to do that. There are no rules. And I write about this in my chapter. There are no rules for anybody for anything. You do what works for you. And if everyone says you're out there in left field, who cares? It's working. I do stuff nobody does. Right. I do stuff nobody does, and I don't care. There are no rules in your life. You know what a rule is? It's a long time ago, there was uncharted territory, and a guy, just like me or you, saw that and said, we need to make a rule because this has never happened before in the universe. So we're going to say this happens now. This is the rule for when this happens again. That's a rule. Like, what? What are we listening to? Come on.
Yeah, it reminds me of like with Steve Jobs. You know, there were already like MP3 players out there, and they were gaining traction, and he just like didn't even try to copy or compete with those. He just made up his own thing, and like his thing was like, I'm going to make a dent in the universe. You know, somebody said he's totally just saying like there's all these rules that people made up. They're just like you said, people like us, and why do we necessarily have to follow those?
Right. Yeah, like the MP3. Well, you know what? I'm going to make MP3s better. Who says you don't have to go that route? Just people want music. He went a whole different direction. So it's just people need to understand that and I have a chapter in my book, think outside the box. There is no box. There is no box. I'm serious. Like, this is another chapter. Like, these are the things I talk about in this book. I mean, go macro in time and space. These are some of the chapter titles. Make rough draft moves, the key success muscles, becoming a success scientist, detachment, where I talk about detaching from emotion. Most events are neutral. I mean, I could go on and on. Economic evolution. I mean, it's a serious book. It's a serious, serious book.
It's basically, you can get inside of Nick's head.
Yeah. It's for real.
And that's so helpful because, I think, again, people need to just start doing stuff, get stuff out there, like produce. And if 95, I like that ratio, 95% of it, goes into the delete box, you still could still end up with a book,
And then you build off of that 5%. And the next, you know what I mean? It's just, people need to, you know what it is? Everyone's so worried about what everyone else thinks and blah, blah, blah. People need to give themselves permission to make the freaking mistakes. Like, when did we forget that making mistakes is how we learn? We want everything perfect. If you want everything perfect, you're out of business. Check out. Stay working. Don't be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're going to I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I make mistakes daily. Daily. I mean, I'm constantly screwing things up, but because I've developed the muscle of quick reaction to new scenarios, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, give yourself permission.
It's the mindset. The mindset of working for a company is don't make mistakes. Like, if you make mistakes, it'll go on your performance review, and you won't get your piddly bonus, or you might get fired or something. Yeah. And so it's a totally different thing, actually. Right? Entrepreneurship is making mistakes and correcting constantly. It's like being out at sea. You're constantly tacking and jibing.
And I talk about that in my book. One of the success muscles is the reactionary muscle. Like, I have new things that come up almost every day that I've never dealt with. It's uncharted territory. But because I'm actually, like, I've developed the skill of reacting to uncharted territory, it looks like I deal with it all the time. It looks like, oh, he knows exactly what to do there. No, I don't. I just know how to react to new situations with logic and intelligence because I've developed the skill. Nobody was born under the right star, guys. For those listening, nobody. Everyone's trying to make their own way in the world and figure stuff out. Even the people that seem as certain as can be, your heroes. Nobody knows what's going on. They're just doing their best to figure things out. And you just got to get more certain about your moves and give yourself permission to make mistakes. I'm dead serious when I say that too. Seriously.
Yeah, and learn from them.
Yep.
So, okay, Nick, how do we get the book? I know Amazon, blah, blah, blah.
You go to
What's
Amazon.
your website and all that?
You go to Amazon, and you'll be listening to this at some point after July 18th when it's released. If for some reason you hear this prior, you just pre-order. But you go to Amazon, and you search Success from Scratch, Nick Ruiz. You'll find it there. Buy it there. Successfromscratch.net. And you can contact me if you want to do a bulk order. I'll have some special opportunities for you there. But successfromscratch.net is where you can also find me and some other things that have to do with the book and other opportunities. I do teach people, alphahomeflipping.com if you want to learn real estate from scratch. And follow me on social. I have a reality show. I have a videographer that follows me around, records me doing actual business, real estate, deals, entrepreneurship, etc., where it's real. Like, so many people are out there faking it, and they're just good internet marketers, so they just put all this info out there. You can watch me in the field, making moves, doing business. It's called In the Life. It's on Facebook.com/Alpha Home Flipping, and it's on my YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Nick Ruiz Entrepreneur. Stop by, say hi, say David sent you. And but no, you can actually watch a real reality show, not some fake Hollywood thing that they put on TV. It's the real deal. So it's kind of exciting.
Okay, I'll get those links from you, and I get the show transcribed, and I'll post those for everybody so they can just click on them.
Beautiful.
Nick, dude, this is awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. Good luck with everything. And, I look forward to digging into success from scratch.
Beautiful. All right, David, I appreciate you having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, take care.